Hey there, I'm Eric Tennant. I'm going to be working on my 20 amp battery. Probably about, I don't know, about a few months ago, I fixed this battery. I rebalanced it pretty much manually using a 18650 charger. Unfortunately, now when I plug it in, it doesn't charge up all the way. I mean, a lot of times I see 54, optimum would be 54.6. So what I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to cut it open again, which that's that's always a joy. And then what I got is a Neey active balance charger. This will go in and this will balance all my cells out for me when it's plugged into it. And this is much faster. I can hook it up with Bluetooth to the phone and I can do up to 4 amps per cell. And instead of just draining the top cell, it takes from the top cell and it charges the weakest cell in the battery. So it's a little bit better. It's quite a bit better than the Dolly BMS. Their passive charging on it may be great for a new battery, but an aging battery, no, it can't seem to keep up on it. I have to hook this harness up into it. Hooks up pretty much the same way as the balance wires. So, there I go. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I'm also gonna add this braiding onto the power wire, which I also have another video that shows how to do that. But that'll clean up this wire and make it a little bit more safe, have more protection on the outside of it. And it should look more professional. Okay, and now it's important to keep all conductive items out of the way because there could be a short across the board on this, and well, that's how you start a house fire. Hey, burning down the house. It's a 13S, so there's 14 wires on it. You got the negative and then the 13 positive sides. So once you find the negative, which I'll locate is full in black, is over here on this terminal. That'd be the first one. That'd be the second one. That'd be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 13 over here. Some of the battery packs are built differently. So you're definitely going to want a multimeter. You're going to want to test, go put it over to the voltage testing. And you'd start off with the negative side over here. Pretty much the battery looks the same way over there. I can tell it's negative by the negative lead here. From that one there to this one here should be the first one. And we're looking for charge state. So, we're still looking at like 408. 4.2 would be nominal on these cells. But that would be cell number 1 there. So keeping the negative probe on the battery to go, and it's basically going to accumulate now the cells. So now we have 8.19, which that there shows basically the accumulation of the two cells in series. That'd be 2S at that point. You can test one cell individually by moving the negative back over to that last head. And then we can see that one's at 4.1. So there's a little bit of difference. Somebody in this pack is up high, so that's why it's turning off. It's hitting that high voltage of 4.2, and the BMS here is doing its job. It's kicking the charging off, so the rest of the cells can't get there. So by the end, unfortunately, the whole battery pack doesn't have its charge that it needs. So that's why I'm gonna wire in this harness here, starting with, well, the black wire, and then I got to go back and forth. I also am going to have to be testing along the wires. The black one I don't have to do because it's unique, but once I get to white, I'm going to have to test. Usually I'd follow it with my fingers, but I'm going to be wrapping the sheeting around it to protect it and to kind of isolate it from the rest of the other BMS wires. So yeah, I'm going to have to be testing it. I'm also going to wrap this in the part that's going to be sticking out and the part that's going to be in before it starts going to each node, and electrical tape, give it extra protection, and then with the sheet on. So yeah, I gotta get doing that, and then I can hook it up and see what exactly is going wrong with this. And the nice thing about that is the wire will be coming out at the end, so I've ordered other harnesses. I'll be able to use this one unit on multiple batteries. It's a little big to build into each one. I mean, you could, or somewhere around $100 or so. I think I got this one for 90. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap the wire up and start getting it sheeted up and start wiring it in here. All right, and that was all excess. Well, you can definitely do a wiring project with that now. Yeah, it's tell me where to stop wrapping electrical tape down it. Just like that. And yeah, that doesn't look the best, but that'll give it extra layer of protection. And now I'm going to wrap the sheeting over it, which will give it a more professional look. And then that definitely looks better. And then, of course, you got to put the heat shrink on it just to hold all the wire strands from moving around. So pretty much like so. And I'll use a lighter on it. Had some bad experiences with heat guns around balance wires. Nice. And pretty much looks just like that. And that'll keep the ends of it from coming unfrayed doing the whole thing coming apart. So pretty much I have my harness constructed now that would stick out of the battery, something well, probably about like that, along with the power wire there. Of course, I got to go through and remove some of this foam, and I guess I'm going to route it on the back side here. Add some extra sheathing for the ones that are routing that way. It should be interesting getting this built, or sorry, rebuilt. Black wire goes onto the first lead, which would be right here. Just going to start off by adding a slight bit of pull of solder. It's going to actually become a little bit dangerous on, say, like this side here. This is a positive pull. If you got a piece of solder down into that vent hole, you could seal the vent, short it out, overheat it, and well, theoretically, I guess it would explode. So you definitely have to be careful when soldering on to there. Some of the batteries have tabbing. This one has a little bit, but it's a good connection there. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. So first wire done, easy enough. So now I got to flip it over to the other side to do the next lead. So pretty much a lot of back and forth on this. I got my I'm going to set the meter to pretty much the audio continuity test. And now on the back side of the wire has little pads. Basically, I'm going to go for that second one, and I'm going to wait for the beep, and then I know I found the right one basically when I hear the beep. So onto the second one. It's a little hard to do with just two hands. Need three. First wire. Nope. I don't even know if you guys can see this. Maybe a little bit. Second wire. Oh. We have a winner. So this is the white. right here that I'm pinching that I was looking for. All right, and I'm just gonna marry it right down into the solder here. Trying to take note to stay away from the positive side because, yeah, that's where all the danger is. All right, and the second wire. So pretty much I flip it over now to the other side and I do the next one once I find the wire, which it looks like it'll be a blue one. So pretty much rinse and repeat over and over until I get to the end of the battery. Further, you want to just kind of isolate the BMS wires from the active balance wires. I'm gonna just add a layer of thermal paper there. It should just add just an extra layer of safety. I know each wire in itself touching on each other could be a problem if it's out of order, but it'll just give me peace of mind to know that the BMS and those other ones are separated by at least something in that area. All right, so that was the second wire. Now I need to go on to the third, which would be on this side, and looks like it's going to be a blue. So rinse and repeat pretty much is what's going on here. So get back to you guys when I get this thing all wired in. Okay, I got all of the active balance leads hooked up. So now all I need to do is, well, a couple things actually. Okay, before I clean it up more, basically I'll end up taping the wires down here. Okay, for the next test, I will be taking the multimeter and I will hook one of the probes up to the black wire, I guess the negative probe, and I will test each one with the positive. I can just change to each, leaving the negative on the first. As I go through that on the multimeter, it should step up. If it doesn't, if it's for some reason out of order, the numbers, that means I got the wires out of order and I need to rectify that. Okay, this last thing I need to do is the second harness is just for power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook a connector up to this red wire here, and then I'm just going to make a XT60 plug that connects it into the positive here. And that'll be it for this plug. Later on, when I use it for touring, I got more harnesses coming. I'll cut it down, probably remove all the extra wires, just have that out with a little bit of length. But for now, I'm just going to connect the end to it. All right, much just like that. Okay, now I'm plugging in the Neey. First, I'm plugging in the first cable that has all the balance leads into it. And next, I'm going to plug my little power cable in here, which has just a bunch of extra wires. So I'm going to plug that in. And now the power. And cross your fingers, hopefully no damn smoke or sparks. Alright, so now I'm going to connect the app. Okay, so now I got to go and look for the Neey app, which I already installed it. There she is. Neey. Alright, I think I go over the side menu, yep. I hit scan. So it's scanning. I take it, this first thing that popped up here must be it. Connected successfully. Okay, now I can see. Oh, okay, yeah. Look right there. Cell 4 is definitely really low. Cell 12 is high. So there's a few low in here. So okay, let me get to the settings here. Okay, cells. This is a 13S. So definitely want to put that on 13. Set. So I take it the beep means that it worked. Start voltage, not too sure what that is. Maximum balance current. Okay, that's 4 amps. Where's a little thin on these things? Let me try we'll just start with 2 amps. It should be fine. So sleep voltage 3. Looks like it says everything's a success. Yay! That is definitely good. That is what I like to hear. Okay, so settings are good. All right, I'm gonna let it run for a bit. It's going ahead and balancing out that cell 4 and decharging the high cells. It's where it's getting its power to charge it. So check back on it later. Okay, it's next morning and the Neey has been running all night long. So let's check on its balancing. Okay, and yeah, definitely used. You can see here at the AMT vol, the battery's voltage basically there. Yeah, they really could work on their naming on the English form. So it did use a little voltage to balance out the battery, but even better, look at the difference voltage or diff vol. There's only 0.004 difference in each one of the cells. Cell 4 is still the weak cell, but it is nowhere near like it was. And then you look at the rest of them, and they're everything's perfectly balanced in the battery. So this would never run always. This is just to correct the imbalancing of the battery. What I want to do now is I want to hook it up to the charger and start charging it with the balancer on it. What I'm looking to achieve is, well, the full charge state is 54.6 volts on the battery. And that way I know when I'm out on the bike or using on the generator, I'm getting my maximum range that is potentially be able to use. So like with this battery, why it wasn't charging up all the way is one of the cells was high at 4.26 or something like that. And it basically, the BMS was doing its job. It was cutting it off, but the rest of the battery wasn't pushing in all the amp hours because they weren't all the way up. So by balancing, you're reopening that range. It's going to still have a shut off at whoever is going to be your lowest cell first then. But balancing also a lot of times helps that out. It helps generally get more of the energy out of it. I would not recommend running this constantly because, well, you only have so many charge cycles on your battery. If you charging and discharging constantly from cells, yeah, it could lower your potential lifespan on it, but it is a great tool. I still need to wrap the battery up, of course, but I have the remote cable in. This one's part of the Neey system now. I can plug it into any battery. So I ordered all the other harnesses. So I pretty much plug it in, rebalance the batteries before like a long trip, like what I got coming up. And well, it'll give me more potential. So I'm not like biking up several thousand feet up a mountain here. Still charging up. Just as time was passing, I found something to occupy myself. This battery sits in the back of my trunk bag on my bike. And yeah, despite of all I can do, I pack it in there. And all I do is it still bounces around. I go down some pretty gnarly stuff. Very rock gardens, technical, whatever you want to call it. But so this will end up being the bottom side of the battery. I ended up adding a packing foam to it. And yeah, because this doesn't look all that attractive, of course, but it'll help protect the cells from getting dented. And then it'll be underneath the wrap here. I also did the same thing to this side because this is where the majority of the BMS wires and all that are. So I'm going to help protect this side. Even though the odds of a side impact being in the back bag, especially with the panniers being full, would definitely be pretty low. Still charging up. Charger's still accepting charge. It's let's see, this one says, let's see, 54.77. Of course, that's a little high because, well, the charger's on. So I'm going to still let it charge up until the charger kicks off and see how she goes. And nice. As you can see, the voltage is now sitting at, well, my little hobby meter says 54.82 on that one, and then the Neey app says 54.74. Anyways, it'll probably sag back down to somewhere around 54.6. But this is great. This means the battery is now optimum. Neey put it back in perfect balance. So now I don't even need to run it. I could either turn it off or, well, I'm going to turn it off and then I'm going to unplug it from the system and the battery can operate it by itself. Pretty much I use it to monitor my batteries. I usually a lot of times after charge, I'll plug the hobby charger in, and as I knew I had a problem again with this particular one, it was at cell 4, which now Yeah, that's perfectly balanced. Now who's the low one? 4's coming up, but it's pretty much even with everybody else. It's not too bad. I'm gonna pretty much unplug the knee. There's no reason for me to nitpick over these last little volts, and then just as I suspected, perfectly. Now the battery sags to roughly 54.6. A little bit higher. Whatever. It's rough math on these things. You don't even know how far off these meters are. But yeah, I got her all wrapped up, double wrapped. Or I guess I'm gonna have to say he's double wrapped now, since I said it won't get the bike pregnant. Huh? So 100% definitely recommend the Neey. There's also an Amazon link down there. It's to the other generic version that don't have the name on it, but from what I hear, they're all from the same factory. I mean, this thing's awesome. I have no complaints about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Ah, yeah. 54.65. Nice. Yeah, she's back to her normal state. She's no longer sagging.